Welcome to the Panic Button. I'm Nina.
I'm Jessie, and today people are really being mean to lesbians, man.
I don't think they understand lesbians at all.
You were upset the other day about some YouTube videos, and everything that started today, I was like, man, Joe Rogan's talking about lesbians. The Boys Cast is talking about lesbians. They're talking about lesbians like we didn't have anything. I'm like, what?
We didn't have any what?
Any love.
Those guys have their own neighborhood. The difference between the gays and lesbians, unfortunately, never developed us, because I have a theory. I think that straight men find out that lesbians move next door and they go, I'm an ally, and then they become their neighbors. Whereas, like, straight men never move into a gay neighborhood. Very rarely.
Yeah.
You can't, like, straighten up a gay neighborhood.
No.
But they've figured out a way to make, like, a whole area all gay.
Yeah.
Like, only gay guys can do that.
It's admirable.
It's great. It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because lesbians aren't, like, as sexually fluent. Lesbians aren't as sexual as gay men are. They have more romantic relationships. So, of course, you're not going to see a society of lesbians. And, yes, of course, straight men are going to be more apt to move in next to lesbians than next to gay men, because they want to be next to women, not next to gay guys.
Wait, why don't lesbians have a neighborhood of lesbians?
He's hypothesizing it's because straight men want to move next to lesbians.
And that's why. There is no just strictly
Lesbian communities, yeah.
Okay.
But gay men, most straight men don't want to be around.
Yeah.
Therefore, gay communities can exist. On top of the fact that they're very sexual, so I can see them all moving into a town together. But that was the start of it. I'm like, man, they're really kind of shitting on... They bring up lesbians a lot. And then we watched the Boys Cast one, and I was like, damn, dude.
Is this really shitting on lesbians?
No, he wasn't shitting on lesbians. I think straight men in general destroy lesbian communities. That's what that just shows. Like the trannies today.
Yeah, and whenever we refer to trannies, we're never talking about the biological women who think they're men. We're only ever referring to the biological men who think they're women, because those are the ones that do the most damage within society
and the lesbian community, because they say that they're lesbians.
Lesbian community.
They say they're lesbians even though they were born a man and have a penis between their legs.
Yeah.
I reposted something the other day on Twitter where it was like, this woman, she's like, I'm a lesbian and I like dick. And then someone else was like, I'm a lesbian and I like dick. What's wrong with it? And I was like, that's not a lesbian.
Lesbian means straight woman.
Lesbian now means, I like to say lesbian, but I want penis.
That's not lesbian.
That's not lesbian.
It is always funny to note, like, the extent to which gay guys and lesbians are what it looks like when you leave guys to their own devices and the girls to their own devices. Right. And obviously the positive part is, first of all, you go, what's big in the gay pride, in the gay community? It's like, they're all jacked. Like, most of them care about working up and stuff. Obviously, since the progressive era, there's been a little bit of, like, the fat gay guys trying to be like, oh, there's actually nothing wrong with me being fat. For the most part.
The bears.
But if you ever talk to gay guys, they're like, yeah, I mean, we'd obviously prefer the in-shape guy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So what happens in the gay community is they all get super jacked and they're getting blown nonstop. What happens in the lesbian community? They let themselves go.
Overalls.
They let themselves go.
Collection.
And then also no sex. They all cuddle and stuff like that.
I don't even think they cuddle. They just kind of live together.
Well,
Number one, we may be the lesbians that let ourselves go, but there's a ton of lesbians that haven't. Number two, lesbians have sex or else they wouldn't be lesbians.
They would just be roommates.
Asexual roommates.
Yeah.
Because if they're not having sex with men and they're not having sex with women, that truly is asexual. You're refusing sex.
Yeah. And we do cuddle.
Every night.
A lot.
Like every night. I'd say we cuddle more than the average couples, like
in
straight
general.
couples. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And sex is just more passionate. Maybe you guys don't sympathize because you're just sticking something in a hole and more barbaric for you. But usually lesbian sex is very passionate and it takes a lot longer than whatever your 30-second jerk-off time is.
Yeah.
Live together.
Well,
if you
think about like what gay spaces are, they're always like, oh yeah, also if you go past that door, there's like a glory hall.
Right, yeah, of course.
And lesbian spaces, you're like, if you go past that door, like we have like a knitting area. And complaining. The crafts and complaining.
There's a bunch of tools.
Lesbians knit, complain, craft, and have power tools.
It sounds like they're talking about their grandmothers and not lesbians, because we also don't have sex, right?
They're talking about that aunt that, like, never got married, that's, like, in her, like, 50s.
They're talking about someone who's, like, a grandmother.
It sounds like
they knit, they don't have sex, they might cuddle. You look at us like you're like I'm your grandmother. I'm not.
Like an asexual thing.
Yeah, because you don't ever want to think about your grandma having sex.
No.
That's why they look at us like a grandma. We knit. We collect things. We might cook well.
Well, then why are the why are the straight men moving into lesbian communities then?
Right.
If they look at us like that, then why are they coming in? Oh, it's just knitting here. We're not going to move into this lesbian neighborhood.
Well, I think it's less harmful than like gay culture does have drugs and partying and stuff like that. So obviously,
Nightlife culture.
if you're going by that standard, then the straight men want to go to the quiet neighborhoods, no?
Yeah.
So that's why they go to a lesbian neighborhood, because knitting. Have you never seen the fuckboy lesbians?
I don't count them as real lesbians,
But,
so
like,
I think they're
these
kind of
guys,
like fake.
I'm curious about how many lesbians they've actually talked to.
I don't know if they've talked to many
Any.
lesbians. They're like, they
The
don't
guys-
cuddle,
the guys-
knitting, power tools.
The guys I know think I'm like the conservative guys I know from work. They all think I'm pretty chill. They don't think of me like a grandma. These people would look at me like a grandma. Smoke weed.
Power tools.
I don't really think it's totally fair to say that the lesbians are like complaining, because actually, I mean, there's the like online bisexual complainers,
yeah,
but like in
that's-
real life, like the cool, like a lot of lesbians are sort of like dudes.
Yeah, that is true.
They're
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
not that complaining,
That is true, yeah.
but they don't have as much sex. That's probably the main thing, and they are probably not in as
I mean,
good
like
shape
your
generally.
joke, they have zero sex.
Yeah, that was my joke. Zero sex, because you need a penis for sex. But the fetish zone, Danny, explain to the people.
Do they think that lesbians are like vanilla? Vanilla in terms of sex, where it's like no kink, boring, da 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 da. If that was the
No
case,
sex at all. Well, we don't have testicles. We don't have testosterone. We don't have that nuts. So we don't have the physical obsessive desire to empty our testicles of semen. You know, we don't have that addiction. That's why you never hear of women having an addiction to porn, but you hear it all the time about guys.
I think that I've met more than enough women
You know
with with a pretty substantial sex drive. I'm just saying, I've met a lot of lesbians with a pretty substantial sex drive.
I would say that lesbians probably have more sex than straight men today do. That's for sure,
absolutely.
because at least we don't have sex with our hands. We have sex with partners.
But even at that, I think it's still more frequent than they're giving credit for. And
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of lesbians who are higher on the spectrum of sexual, like, how do you put that? I think there's a lot of lesbians that have a higher sex drive, though you only want to refer to them as your grandma.
Yeah, when they talk about lesbians, it sounds like a grandma. It sounds like an old lady whose vagina juice is the Sahara, just dust.
Yeah, no
Sand.
bubblegum over there, just...
No.
Yeah, so that's the problem here. Some lesbians are like dudes. They don't like dudes, though. I've known tons of those fuckboy lesbians who do end up being with a girl. They just usually temper down at some point. They're usually the butches. They start off like fuckboys, and then they become butch these days. However, I know tons of them, and they can't stop fucking people, and they get in a lot of trouble.
Usually they have some sort of mental issue going on.
But you also knew someone who was like that when you were in college, no?
I was like, what?
You also knew someone like that when you were in college, no?
Oh,
A chick who just slept with every woman there.
Yeah, every lesbian in Buffalo.
Yeah.
I knew a lesbian, like, I never slept with her.
No. But would you say that she doesn't?
No, she does, but that was like one lesbian out of many, you know.
But if lesbians didn't have sex, she wouldn't have been able to fuck every lesbian in the area.
I think most of the time she was having sex with bisexuals and straight girls who said that they were lesbian. She did sleep with a lot of lesbians around here, but I would have to say not everyone. She didn't sleep with me.
But for someone to be that promiscuous in the lesbian community, does that not mean that she must have had a high sex drive and was going around and doing it with whoever she could? Must have had a high sex drive.
Yeah, you know, but I do think that she had a high sex drive, but I think that was from sort of mental,
Still happens.
some experience she had when she, I don't know. You know,
And
she didn't seem all there.
I've said it before. I can understand it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We're putting out new videos all the time. We'd like to expand the channel, and we can only do that with your support. Members get early access to videos and prioritized comments. Send us an email if you'd like at thepanicbuttonpodcast@gmail.com. I hope you're enjoying this video thus far. If you are, leave a comment. Anything. If you don't know what to comment the word anything. Bathroom breakover.
Anyone else notice there's a very obvious gay accent, but not a super distinct lesbian accent? Well, that's actually not entirely true. There are studies showing that lesbian women tend to restrict their pitch range more and push some vowels further back in their mouth. However, outside listeners are unable to tell that someone is lesbian just by hearing her talk, even though they can really consistently tell that someone is gay just by listening to their voice. So, it's not really true that there isn't a lesbian accent, it's just that we are way worse at identifying it. And the reason that's true is because society considers masculinity to be the default. Because the gay accent is traditionally perceived perceived as feminine, and if anything, the lesbian accent would be perceived as more masculine. We tend to notice the gay accent more because it deviates more from the default we expect to hear. It's the exact same reason why a man wearing stereotypically female clothes is going to stand out way more than a woman wearing stereotypically male clothes. Masculinity is the default, so female gender inversion is inherently less surprising to us.
The lesbian accent I think is funny.
That's gonna pick up.
Yeah, Remy.
Remy, shut the f*** up!
I don't think that you see a lesbian accent ever because it doesn't actually exist. There's more masculine sounding women that are super duper straight. You know, you hear people with that rough, tumble voice all the time. So, like, why would you ever think that a lesbian would have an accent?
Because some of them do.
You think that you can hear a lesbian?
Yep.
Do I talk like a lesbian?
Sometimes.
What does a lesbian talk like?
Hey, babe.
That's not a lesbian.
Hey, babe. Yeah. That's so cool. Dude. Hey, babe.
Do all lesbians sound like Sylvester Stallone?
Some of them do. Some of them do. Not all of them do, but some of them do. It's like the gay guy accent. Sister, you just listen to James Charles and you've got it.
But can you know they're a lesbian by their voice? Because you can know a man is gay by his voice.
No, you can't. You know how many British guys I thought were absolutely gay that weren't?
I'm talking about Americans.
So many. Well, we
the
weren't.
USA.
We weren't differentiating between
Okay,
U.S. and England.
For Americans,
Yeah.
can you guarantee a woman's gay off her voice?
No.
Can you guarantee a man is gay off his voice?
No.
What about his voice and looks?
No. I mean, you can guess and maybe be right more of the time.
Then with women, yeah.
Yeah.
Because women will wear masculine clothes for comfort. It's not because it's the default. It's literally just comfort. Would you like to be wearing a dress all day? I don't like it. I feel exposed.
Well, I guess you're a guy then, right? Should you transition now? That's what they tell kids. That's what they tell kids.
I'm not a fan of that. I'm a lesbian for the real.
You are rectangular.
No holes.
Okay.
Bye. Do we sound like lesbians to you?